welcome to this video. My name is Nicole. I'm a Linocut artist and printmaker based in Melbourne. Today I'm going to take you on a tour through my Linocut carving tools and I'm going to show you how I like to use them. I have just a scrap of lino here. It is standard Battleship Grey silk cut lino with a hessian backing. I have prepped the block with just a little bit of Indian ink so you can see the marks I make easier. So I'm going to start with the Feel Swiss made tools, these ones here. So we have the very small V tool and the very small U tool. The U tool is probably my favorite tool and the tool that I use the most. It is really good for making small curved lines. So I tend to use this tool to outline things. So I will outline a shape using this tool. And then using different tools, I will go in and I will clear out. The V-shape tool is good for making straight lines and for making hatching and cross-hatching marks. So it definitely makes the smallest lines of anything that I have. So you see we can get some really good hatching lines here. My second most used tools would be these Hua Hong tools. I have the 2mm U tool and the 1mm U tool. So the 1mm U, similarly to the Feel U tool, is great for going around curves and making curved lines. It's also good for outlining shapes in certain situations. Now this 2mm U I use almost exclusively to clear out spaces. And I can do the same with this one. Sometimes I use the very small Feel tool to clear out spaces like this as well, but it's just a little bit less efficient. Next up I'll show you these large Yoshiharu tools. So we have the large V tool, which makes marks like this. I very rarely use it like that. I'm more inclined to use the side of the blade to go around edges of shapes, which I can show you in a little bit when I make more shapes. This large U tool is just for clearing out large areas. You'll see the Feel tools sit in my palm and I put my my index finger and my middle finger on top to control the tool and apply some pressure from my palm. This means that I'm quite mobile to make different shapes and I have good control of the tool. For the long handled tools, I tend to adopt a similar posture. Because there's less space, I'm inclined to tuck my middle finger behind and just use my index finger to control the tool. But it sits in my hand in a similar way. I certainly don't hold it, you know, like this. It's always with a finger on top for the best control. Because this is a small bit of lino, you will notice that I'm carving towards my hand a little bit. This isn't the best practice, but I'm very confident with using my tools and I very rarely slip with them. I have noticed, and this is probably a personal thing that not everyone is going to agree with, that people can get quite mad on the internet about using Linocut carving tools towards your hands. I would say that very occasionally I cut myself while I'm carving my blocks. It's really not that big a deal. They're very small tools and they don't leave much of a wound. We're not talking about chainsaws here, we're talking about the tiniest of tiny chisels. So I would say try and position your hands behind or to the side of where you're carving, if you can. Now, the final set of tools that I want to show you are these Easy Lions wood engraving gravers. So the way that I use these is I will go around a shape, usually using my Feel U tool, and then using the graver tool I chip away the lino within the shape that has been carved. I can at times also use this to sharpen up a corner inside a piece of lino that's already been carved. And so it makes a sharp kind of ledge when I do that. These flat graver tools are also really good for smoothing out a large carved surface, which helps eliminate any ink getting onto the carved away surfaces and keeps the block a lot cleaner. Because when you do a lot of these larger U shapes next to each other, what happens is that you create a pattern of ridges where you've carved. Just trying to get that to catch light, that's probably best. Those are the Linocut tools that I use to create all of my Linocut prints. I'm going to prep a Linocut block that I'm working on currently, and then I'm going to show you some of the things that I showed you just on these little test strips, but on a real life block that I'm actually working on, because making just random little abstract shapes is one thing, but actually carving shapes that make up a picture is something a little bit different. So I've just finished transferring this block, and now I'm going to start carving it, and I will take the time to show you some of the techniques that I use with the different tools that I use to carve my blocks. Okay, so what I'm doing first is I'm just outlining the white areas in this space. You'll notice that I turn the block frequently as I work. I notice some people post videos of them working really statically, like in an up and down kind of way, so they can get these videos of them, the block being still and them carving away on it. I literally don't know how they do that, because it's really important to me to be able to move the block around in order to reposition my hand and to be able to get all the shapes that I want to get. Okay, so I've been going around using the Feel U-shaped tool, and now I'm just going to go in with the Hua Hong 2mm, and I'm going to clear out that space. Okay, so now the face is roughly more or less cut out, and I'm going to go in with the graver, the Easy Lines graver tool. I'm just going to work at smoothing out all that white space and deepening the area that is going to be, when it's printed, just left as white paper. So you see, I'm doing a combination of using the tool sideways at the edges and then clearing out the middle space. I'm going in with my paintbrush. And you can see here there's just a little bit of lino that's attached but loose, so we just go in and nick that off. And same in here. And there's a little ridge here that I don't particularly like. So the other thing is, if there's just a small space like this, outlining it and then pulling out the center. The other thing I want to show you on this block is that this background where you can see I've drawn lines, that's going to be a hatching effect. So I'm going to, much closer together than the lines I've drawn, I'm going to do hatched lines in the background. I just draw a line every 5 millimeters just to make sure that I keep going straight as I'm working, because having a line for each line I'm going to draw wouldn't actually be very useful. I'm going to be using the Feel V-shape tool, the smallest V-shape tool available. So what I tend to do is I carve out the line I've drawn. And then I go down to meet that line. In order to see the work I've done, I then just rub a pencil on it sideways. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the tools tour and the little bit of the tutorial I'm doing there for now. I will come back to you maybe at the very end just to show you what this looks like once I've done carving it. But I'm going to put my headphones back in and listen to some crime podcasts and get into carving this because I need to get it done today. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, it really helps. And if you would like more printmaking content, please subscribe to my channel. I put out videos every week, usually about Thursday.